Our hero has two cyborg hack Godzilla, but can he control the beast? Let's find out. Before we get into the video, be sure to like, comment and subscribe so you don't miss any new videos. Also, stick around until the end of the video, because there is going to be an awesome special message for you guys. So be sure to stay tuned. The earth trembled as the monstrous form of Godzilla reared its ugly head towards the sky. His atomic breath, a terrifying mix of fire and nuclear energy, was enough to level entire cities in seconds. Humanity's best hope against the behemoth, a cybernetically enhanced human known only as K. He was a master of technology, a genius inventor who had merged with his own cutting-edge creation to become half man, half machine. The question was, could this modern-day Frankenstein's monster tame the king of the monsters? The fate of the world hung in the balance. The air was thick with tension as K approached Godzilla, his bionic limbs worried softly as he prepared to strike. Godzilla roared, a sound that shook the very foundations of the nearby buildings, sending shivers down K's spine despite his thick metal armor. But the cyborg wasn't one to back down from a challenge. With lightning-fast reflexes honed by years of training, he dodged Godzilla's first attack, a sweeping tail that could have crushed a tank like an egg. As the giant lizard lunged again, K countered with a kick of his own, his metal-clad foot connecting with Godzilla's jaw with a sickening crunch that echoed through the devastated city. Despite the blow, Godzilla remained unfazed. The cybernetic enhancements that had made K a formidable opponent were mere child's play compared to Godzilla's immense power. Each of his blows was enough to level a building. Each of his roars shook the very core of the city. And yet K pressed on, driven by a desperate hope that he might just be able to turn the tide of this seemingly hopeless battle. His face was grim, his movements precise and efficient as he danced around the colossal monster, landing blow after blow. Every strike was a testament to his skill, every dodge a display of agility that belied his bulky frame. But it was becoming increasingly clear that brute force alone would not be enough. K needed a different strategy, something more than just powerful strikes and evasive maneuvers. The world watched, held captive by the unfolding drama, as K struggled to gain the upper hand. The battle raged on, a deadly ballet of teeth and steel, of fire and fury. Yet as the fight wore on, it was clear that K's strength was not his greatest asset. His true power lay in his intellect, in his ability to think strategically, to adapt and improvise. He needed to exploit Godzilla's weaknesses to find a way to turn the tables in his favor. And then it hit him, a brilliant but risky plan that just might give him the edge he needed. With a surge of adrenaline, K executed his plan. He feigned a crippling blow, luring Godzilla into a false sense of victory before launching a counterattack that caught the monster off guard. His cybernetic enhancements whirred and clicked as he used every ounce of his strength to deliver a final, devastating blow. It was a Hail Mary, a desperate gamble that could either end in glorious triumph or complete annihilation. But as the dust settled and the smoke cleared, it became clear that K had won the battle. Godzilla, the seemingly invincible monster, lay defeated, his reign of terror brought to an end by a man who refused to give up. The city was in ruins, a testament to the destructive power of the two titans who had clashed there. But amidst the destruction, there was a glimmer of hope, a promise of a new beginning. K stood over his fallen foe, his chest heaving as he surveyed the damage. The battle had taken its toll, but he had won. For now, the immediate threat was over, but the war was far from won. There were other monsters out there, other threats to humanity that lurked in the shadows waiting for their chance to strike. K knew that the fight was far from over. He had tasted victory, but it was a bittersweet victory indeed. As the sun began its slow descent, casting long shadows across the ruined landscape, K turned his thoughts to the future. The battle with Godzilla had pushed him to his limits, but it had also shown him the true extent of his powers. He was more than just a man. He was a symbol of humanity's resilience, a beacon of hope in a world that seemed determined to tear itself apart. As he looked out over the devastation around him, he knew that he couldn't rest. He had a duty to protect the world, to ensure that the horrors of today would never repeat themselves. With a deep breath, he began to plan for the future. The battle with Godzilla had been a turning point, a moment when the world had truly seen what he was capable of. Now he needed to use that knowledge, that understanding of his own power to shape the world in a better way. He would need to train, to hone his skills and prepare for the inevitable battles that lay ahead. But he was ready. He was K, the cyborg who had tamed the king of the monsters, and he wouldn't rest until every threat to humanity was vanquished. As night fell over the city, Kay stood tall, his silhouette a dark outline against the fiery sky. He was weary, but his spirit was unbroken. The fight for the future had just begun. But then, from the depths of the ruined city, a new sound arose, a low growl that sent chills down Kay's spine. It was the sound of a monster, a sound that signaled the start of a new battle, a battle that would test Kay's skills and courage like never before. From the smoldering ruins emerged Mothra, her massive wings beating slowly, her eyes glowing with an eerie green light. She was a creature of pure energy, a living embodiment of the Earth's primal power. Her presence was both awe-inspiring and terrifying, a reminder of the raw, untamed forces that shaped the world. The very air crackled with anticipation as Mavura raised her head towards the sky, letting out a piercing screech that tore through the night. It was a call to arms, a summons to the other Kaigas who slumbered deep within the earth. Kay knew that he was in trouble. Mothra was not just a powerful monster, she was a harbinger of chaos, a sign that the earth itself was in peril. As Mothra spread her wings, casting an ominous shadow over the city, Kay felt a surge of fear. He had faced many monsters, but Mothra was something else entirely. She was a force of nature, a living cataclysm that threatened to consume everything in her path. But fear was a luxury he couldn't afford. He was all that stood between humanity and total annihilation, and so he steeled himself, readying himself for the battle that lay ahead. As Mothra lunged, her massive claws extended, Kay reacted instantly, his cybernetic enhancements worry as he launched into the air. The city was a war zone, a chaotic battleground where man and monster clashed in a desperate struggle for survival. But as the fight raged, it became clear that Kay was outmatched. Mothra was too powerful, too relentless. Each of her attacks was enough to level a building. Each of her roars shook the very core of the city. And yet Kay pressed on, driven by a desperate hope that he might just be able to turn the tide of this seemingly hopeless battle. But then, just as he was about to deliver a final, decisive blow, Mavura unleashed her ultimate weapon, a blinding flash of light that knocked Kay off balance. It was a trick, a diversion that allowed Mavura to deliver a crushing blow that sent Kay crashing to the ground. As the dust settled, Mothra loomed over her fallen opponent, her eyes glowing with a cold, hard light. Kay was defeated, his body battered and bruised, his spirit broken. He had fought bravely, but in the end, he had lost. Mavura let out a deafening roar, a sound that echoed through the shattered remains of the city, a sound that spoke of victory and utter destruction. In the aftermath of the battle, Kay lay defeated amidst the smoldering ruins of the city. His body was a canvas of pain, every inch of his armor bearing the scars of Mothra's relentless assault. His vision blurred, his movements sluggish. He struggled to rise, each breath a shallow gasp that scraped at his throat like sandpaper. But he had to get up. He owed it to himself, to humanity, to finish what he started. With a Herculean effort, Kay hauled himself to his feet, his cybernetic limbs worry and clicking as they strained under the weight of his battered body. But he didn't have much time. Mothra, sensing his weakness, prepared to deliver the final blow that would end this battle once and for all. The city trembled as Mothra reared back, her massive claws flashing in the dim light. Then, in a fluid motion that defied her massive size, she struck. The impact was earth-shattering, enough to level a small mountain. Kay braced for the end, for the moment when his world would turn to darkness and his consciousness would fade into oblivion. But then, just as Mothra's attack was about to connect, something unexpected happened. A blinding flash of light erupted from Kay's chest, pushing Mothra back and giving him precious seconds to recover. With renewed determination, Kay activated his last resort plan, a desperate gamble that could either end in glorious triumph or complete annihilation. His cybernetic enhancements whirred and clicked as they focused every ounce of their power on a single target, Mavura's heart. In a blinding flash of light, the cyborg fired a concentrated blast of energy directly at Mavura's chest. The energy blast connected, sending shockwaves that rippled through the kaiju's massive form. Mavura roared in pain, the sound echoing through the shattered remains of the city. Kay pressed his advantage, launching a relentless barrage of attacks that kept Mavura on the defensive. With each passing moment, the kaiju grew weaker, her movements slower, her attacks less forceful. But even in defeat, Mothra was a terrifying sight. Her eyes glowed with a malevolent red light, her mouth agape in a silent snarl. Kay knew that he had to end this quickly, to deliver a final blow that would end the battle once and for all. With a surge of adrenaline, Kay launched one final attack, a desperate gamble that would determine the outcome of this battle. His cybernetic enhancements hummed with power as he focused every ounce of his strength on one final, devastating blow. And then, as if in slow motion, the cyborg's fist connected with Mothra's jaw. The impact was deafening, a shockwave that reverberated through the very core of the city. And then, as if in response to Kay's attack, Mothra exploded into a blinding flash of light. The blast wave knocked the cyborg off his feet, sending him crashing to the ground. Dazed but alive, he struggled to rise as the light faded and the smoke cleared. Slowly, painfully, Mothra transformed before his eyes, her massive form shrinking, her wings folding inward until she was nothing more than a tiny moth fluttering weakly in the night. Defeated but not broken, Mothra crawled away into the darkness, leaving Kay victorious but shaken in the heart of the ruined city. The silence was deafening, broken only by the sound of Kay's ragged breathing. He had won, but at what cost? The city was in ruins, a testament to the destructive power of the two titans who had clashed there. But amidst the destruction, there was a glimmer of hope, a promise of a new beginning. As the first rays of sunlight touched the ruined landscape, Kay surveyed the damage. The battle with Mothra had taken its toll, but he had won. For now, the immediate threat was over, but the war was far from won. He knew that the real challenge was just beginning, the task of rebuilding and ensuring that such devastation would never repeat itself. But as he looked out over the wreckage around him, he saw not just destruction, but an opportunity for renewal, a chance to build a better future from the ashes of the past. The sun rose higher in the sky, casting a warm glow over the battered landscape. It was a new day, a day filled with challenges, but also with hope. Kay took a deep breath, steeling himself for the long road ahead. He was wounded, but his spirit was unbroken. The fight for the future had just begun, and he was ready.